My name is Rubye Moore. I'm 23 years old. I identify as a gay male drag queen. That's not really like in that label. And pronouns, whatever. I don't really care. I really don't care.
Are there any signs or feelings in your childhood of you being gay?
I always knew that I was gay, but I didn't really know what it meant, if that's weird. I didn't have any exposure to gay culture or gay people at all. And I very much knew what was going on, but I just kind of kept it to myself until middle school, high school-ish. And then it was when I got to high school where I was like, okay.
Did you ever have gender struggles?
I never had gender struggles, but I do know that when I did drag for the first time, it felt very natural. That I've always taken the idea of gender and then just fucked it up. Before I did drag, I would go out in a full face of makeup and whatnot and didn't give a fuck. I've always shopped in whatever department of stores that I want to go to. I've always just kind of ignored the whole concept of gender, I guess. I've never wanted to identify as female other than when I'm in drag.
When did you learn about what being gay was?
I don't know. This is so weird, but I watched a lot of Chelsea Handler's talk show when I was in middle school-ish, and the shit she was talking about was always it was a gay channel. It was gay related. It wasn't really until the end of high school, beginning of college, where I really immersed myself and let myself discover what I wanted to be.
Can you tell me about the first time you cross-dressed in public?
Okay, so I had a friend that was doing a newcomer drag competition at a bar here, who invited me out, and it was my first exposure to drag. And since it was my first time in a gay bar, I felt really comfortable, highlight, contour, lipstick, whatever, but I wasn't in drag. I was just playing with makeup because I liked it. And then the drag queens actually told me, they're oh my god, you're really pretty, we should put you in drag. And they put me in drag and I looked terrible, but I knew what needed to be done. I was I could make this better, so I kept doing it. I kept working on it, and it just never stopped. So the first time was awful, but I knew that there was potential, yeah.
What is the first makeup item you remember wearing?
Makeup for me, well, in high school, I had really, really, really bad skin. My skin is still terrible, but my acne was so bad, I didn't even want to go to school. So I started wearing concealer and tinted moisturizer and BB cream. But actual makeup, it started when the whole fleeky eyebrow trend came out, in, what was that, 2014-ish or something like that. That was where I dove into makeup, and then it was contouring, and then it was highlighting, and then it was just full woman. Yeah.
Tell me about coming out as gay. Who did you tell first, and what was their responses?
I only came out to my close friends. I didn't feel I needed to come out because I was super gay already, but I figured I probably should. So the way that I came out to a couple of my friends in high school was I told them oh, I went on a date with a guy last night and it was great, and they were oh, okay, that's fine. And my family, I did not come out to them. I just started dating someone when I was 17, I believe. And I just brought him home and was hey, this is who I'm dating. And they were just okay, not surprised, whatever. So I didn't really come out.
When was the first conversation you had with anyone regarding your sexual orientation?
I guess it was when I was telling my friends that I went on a date with a guy. They were like, okay. They were like not surprised, but then they were asking me like, so are you just like gay? Like, are you bi? And I was just like so relaxed about it. I was just like, I don't know. I just am doing whatever I want to do. And I guess I've kind of always been like that.
Was there any point in time you remember talking to anyone about your gender? Has anyone been overly questioning of what you were doing?
I remember when I first started doing drag, my first ex-boyfriend, I was still friends with him, and he immediately was like so uncomfortable with it. He was just like, oh, so you're gonna be a woman now? And I was like, no, I'm just wearing like eyeliner and a wig. Like it's completely different. And I think he was honestly the only person that had not like a problem, but he was like uncomfortable with the idea. But other than that, like everybody has been like really supportive with drag and everything. So
have there been any other steps that you've done in your drag history that you're proud of and feel like were milestones or goals?
Well, I started doing drag 3 years ago, and then I think like a year and a half ago, I did a benefit show with Benediction, who I host a couple of shows with now. And us hosting that gig ended up going so well that we got a regular show at BS West called Sis, and that kind of was a stepping stone to what is now the Queer Agenda, which is every Tuesday at Stacy's. So I guess like diving into hosting was probably like the biggest milestone for me, because it was like not really something that I was aiming to do, but it was like offered to me, and it opened up a lot of doors for me. Another thing was when I competed for Miss Pheonix Pride last year. Like that opened a lot of doors, and it got a lot more like eyeballs on me. Like people like saw what I was doing, and they saw that I wasn't fucking around. Like I was just like, I'm like, this is what I want to do, and people started taking me more seriously.
Since coming out and doing drag, have either of these things notably affected your dating life or sex life?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not much of a dater. I don't like dating people. But I guess I don't really like associating with people who are so close-minded that they wouldn't date a drag queen, or they wouldn't hook up with a drag queen. And I'm like that with people that I am like romantic with, and I'm also like that with people who I am just like friends with in general. Like if you're like that, then I don't even want to be around you.
At what step did you feel you were truly being yourself?
I guess like just doing drag in general, it just made me feel myself in a way that I had never knew that I was like missing. Like it really felt like I was missing out on this for so long, and I was like kind of upset. Like I was like, how did I not find this sooner? Like I didn't even like watch like Drag Race or anything before I did drag, and I wish I had. So I guess just doing drag in general made me feel more like myself.
Are there any words you find offensive?
I like try not to get offended by anything that isn't like trying to offend me. If someone's trying to offend me, then I'll be offended. But if someone is just like literally like telling a joke or something, I'm not easily offended.
What kind of struggles have you faced in public?
I honestly am kind of shocked with how comfortable I am like in drag in public, or even like something like holding hands with a guy when I'm out of drag in public. I'm just like very comfortable.
Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about?
I mean, this past year has been crazy for me, like drag wise. Like it kind of started when I was competing for Pheonix Pride. started getting more bookings. The biggest milestone for me at that point was when I was in Kirby Girls, and I like was so emotional about that because Kirby Girls 1 was one of the first drag shows I ever went to, and it was like my biggest goal. Like I was like, oh my god, I want to be in the show someday. And then 2 years later I was in it, which was like so much faster than I thought would have happened. And then after that, the queer agenda, when that started, that was something that just kind of popped out of nowhere that I was not expecting, and has created like a home, like a safe space for not only myself, but like my co-hosts and the people that come on a regular basis to Stacy's on Tuesday nights. And now one thing I'm doing is once a month at The Rock, I have a competition show. Is kind of mistaken as like a newcomer show, but it's a competition for just anybody that wants to compete, that doesn't want to do pageants and doesn't really want to audition for like Drag Race just yet. And that's kind of like something that I'm focusing on now, that I'm really excited to see like where that goes and who that can inspire and whatnot. So,
are there any other plans for this year, the coming years?
Yeah, I would like to maybe dive into another pageant. A lot of people like think that what I do and what my friends and my scene do is very anti-pageant, but we're not. Like, I love pageantry, and it is kind of outside my box a little bit, but that's what I like to do. I like to challenge myself. I don't want to limit myself, and also just like I would like to think that the things that I'm doing next year are things that I wouldn't have even thought of right now.
If you were to be given the opportunity to tell your younger self one word of advice, what would it be?
I just wish I would have discovered drag sooner, honestly. Like, I feel like things happened for me quickly from when I started to now, but like I feel like I could be even better and more knowledgeable than I am right now if I had discovered drag sooner. And I wish I would have explored my town more, because I didn't realize that there actually is like there are like a couple of scenes for like queer and just like gay people in general in Phoenix that I had no idea about.
What's one message you'd like to leave to little boys and girls going through similar situations?
Like explore more, or like be a little more open-minded, and maybe like talk to some people. Like I like kept to myself a lot, and I wish I would have like been a little more open about my sexuality in like high school and whatnot, because I feel like it could have, I don't know, things could have gone a little differently, not for just myself, but maybe for like the friends I had in high school and everything. Like I could have been exposed to a lot more if I had left my room once or twice in high school.